How are you other than that?
I'm really good, you know.
Yeah? Glad to ask. I'm loving you every time you're on Your Arts Could Never.
Yeah.
I think you do a great job.
It's my little home.
Yeah. No, listen, more power, man, everywhere till we dominate these spaces like we're supposed to.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You know, the first one is like super simple, but who is Dane? By the way, because I've known you for now 20 years.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's an insane amount of time.
It is.
And
I feel like it's flown by.
I'm going to speak to you specifically about what I remember of that time.
Yes.
And you were, in my mind, in that time, we were just getting comedians in, and we were happy for you to have 5 minutes at the beginning of the show and just figure it out. And there was kind of like you, Junior Booker, there was like K Kurd, there was like Axel, and it was like, anytime you want to come and do it, just come and do it. You get 5 minutes, you open the show. And then maybe like the second half, we just want to just come.
Yeah.
There was always something about you, which I always felt like I really understood and really enjoyed.
Yes,
right?
you did.
And for me, it was like, this guy is definitely very smart, and there's a passion and a drive. And when he finds the thing, he's going to go, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to act like I did anything else beyond that. I just had that knowing in my head, and I kept on being like, come back. There was even points where you were like, are you sure? And I was like, no.
Because I definitely used to be like, I don't know, does he enjoy this? Is he some kind of like sadist? Or like,
do you know what?
I'm struggling here so a
you
lot of the
used
time.
to say things that I would probably observe.
Yes.
And the crowd would be like, huh? And because the crowd was very
they were young.
Rick Ross Trey songs.
No, they were Rick Ross Trey songs, and there was a particular era. And I think that even with the culture at large, there was a transitional period where we were trying to work out who we were aesthetically. I think people were trying to work out certain aspects of contemporary culture and where those were going. I believe there was like a lot of mixes. So today it's kind of like it was an era of like people having Lego at the bottom of like white gold chains and like people just
Boy Wonder and Illuminati.
Exactly. Oh, love. And then you had like the like Uniqlo. There was kind of like it was almost like we were post Tiny Temper, maybe pre Kanye. Anyone who knew kind of like, I think British music was, and British culture in itself was almost beginning to galvanize in itself. So when we talk about Black British identity now, and that's something that's becoming crystallized now, then it wasn't exactly as pronounced then, and we were still kind of like hearkening to the past and those kind of, I suppose, culture things that drive our culture. So it was an interesting place to be in. But I think for me, mainly like the gulf of understanding that existed was because like I started comedy like giving it a go like at 28 years old, and I think a large amount of like the Sunday show attendees were kind of like late teens, early 20s. And while it doesn't seem like it's a big gap, I think there is a gap in maturity. Even I know in reflection who I was at 19 compared to who I was at 28.
It's just
massive, enormous difference.
So who are you today though?
So today, I would like to think, and I guess I put this in like some of my bios and stuff, I would like to think I am someone who's definitely been like an innovator, and unfortunately these have become cliched references, like a free thinker or a critical thinker. But I would like to think I'm someone who's definitely an innovator, definitely a trailblazer, and someone who is still dynamic in their creativity, in that like I think an important part of comedy's philosophy is you have to be able to laugh at yourself first and not take things too seriously. And I'm still in the process of doing that. Now as somebody who regularly attends therapy as well, it's refreshing and reassuring to understand that I'm now a work in progress, both personally, spiritually and artistically.
Okay.
So that's who I am, I'd say.
And then who's this guy?
Ah, cool. So that is Dane Baptiste on the 8th of September at my first day at school. That is a guy who really probably even then kind of understood that there is a pattern for me in terms of the paths that I take. So I went to Haberdashers' Asks, Hatcham College, which today actually has quite an impressive alumni. Myself, Dumi Obarota, Rafe Spall, Sean Wright-Phillips, Bradley Wright-Phillips, KTB.
It's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, not bad for a start. And then obviously being a part of the associated school that also like Sacha Baron Cohen was a member of like Haberdashers as well. I think Matt Lucas also went to a Haberdasher school. So yeah, I guess my unique experience when going to secondary school was I went from being the only black male in my class to being like one of 8. And I found that just massively refreshing. I felt like I was constantly defending my corner in primary school. I got the second highest score for the London reading test when I was at school. but then found myself almost getting expelled every single week.
Okay. What was driving that?
I mean, for me, I think it was just, I guess an inability to conform. Very simply, like, kid would hit me, I hit him back, they start crying, tell the teacher. I would be portrayed as the aggressor, and I'd be like, but they hit me first. So surely, even if I have made a mistake, the initial aggression should also be punished as well. And they'd be like, you should tell the teacher. And I'd be like, well, I think I have the right to defend myself, ironically, if I'm attacked. And they just didn't really see it that way. So
Is justice really important to you?
Massively. I think there's a number of cultural as well as ideological and personal reasons why. I think that if you strip that down to like order and chaos, I think that life needs order in order to thrive, and there is a divine design, whereas obviously chaos is the opposite force. I think that affects that. So
where does that belief come from? Is that, I know you said there's 3 different spaces, but is there a religious belief? Is it just a social? Is it cultural? Is it Caribbean?
Yeah, I think it's all of those things. I think that probably religious belief is probably the largest foundation for the idea of justice. And I'd argue, maybe I adhere to that so much that trying to see how the framework and the idea of justice applies to normal life is a very frustrating thing. And I think that's probably an experience that everybody kind of has. It's like even down to like when a child first notices a homeless person and then has to try and rationalize the idea that there are enough homes and there is enough food and we throw metric tons of food away. So why should some people go without? And somehow there is a series of suspensions of belief and negation in our own heads and dissonance that I guess people feel they have to employ in order to navigate reality. And to be quite honest, I think it's something I've struggled with since I was that age.
Okay. Who's this guy?
That is...
You was vibing.
That's Dane, the last day of school. And I think it's a real nice testament to... now I look back at that picture, I think that picture was me trying to look as cool as I could, but at the same time, this is after a water fight. So everyone's... Okay. I got a coat on and a shirt and a tie because I'm still insecure about my physique.
Interesting.
But also want to, give the veneer of confidence. Which
You're right in the middle, surrounded by young girls.
Yeah.
You are a young boy, so that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But
they're all the girls in my year. So it's like our last day of school.
Yeah, were you always surrounded by girls? Was that normal? Where were the guys?
They're in the park too. But I just, politely asked the girls if I could take a picture of the last day of school. And, a lot of these women here, like I still talk to, they're amazing people. Frasier, who's closest to me there, she's a doctor now. Philippa is not only someone who is, she's a teacher. She works with SEN children. She also grows her mum and dad, they also grow their own food. Like she's very much, she's educated me about maternal issues that black women face that I probably wasn't as aware of. He also runs a organization along with Natalie where they provide support for expectant mothers and then aftercare and provide a communal center for new mothers to kind of come together as well.
So it's a good batch.
They're the best. And I definitely have to say that I think that these women have definitely helped to form a positive perception of women anyway. But so far as me always been surrounded by women, my mum has 6 sisters. My aunts all have on average 2 daughters each. And then, I was the first male in my generation of cousins.
Okay.
So other than that, I definitely grew up in what I would consider to be a matriarchy. And, that has probably had some latent benefits that I didn't even think about in terms of the fact that because so many of the achievements that I saw in my family were done by women first, I've never had to question the efficacy in women in any space. So first people that went to university, first people to drive cars, get jobs, good careers and stuff. So have always been my point of reverence.
Makes sense. Powerful. Similar. These times.
How
old were you when you arrived, by the way? How old were you when you came to Sunday Show the first time? Do you know?
The first time I must have been mid-20s or maybe near towards 26, 27.
What was your comedy career until then?
Not much of one. The first gig I ever did was in 2006 at Kojo's Funhouse. And then I kind of dabbled for a bit, but would stop doing comedy for a few years, leave it alone, maybe do 2 gigs a year. I wasn't really doing comedy. Every now and again I would just pop up for a show if something came up. I had no knowledge of what a circuit was, how to pitch for gigs, how to get into spaces. Like even, I think this came from referral as well from doing another show. And we're still just trying to find my feet. And Sunday show was an interesting one because I definitely had one of the hardest times there. And sometimes I think it might have been through my lack of experience. Sometimes there were circumstances beyond my control. So you may remember when we was in the Slug and Lettuce doing Sunday show, I went on after Jay Farrow. Jay Farrow showed up once.
Yes, yeah.
And, you know, Jay Farrow being like the successor to Eddie Murphy in terms of, you know, his impressions. I say that's a very hard act to follow, and I definitely struggled with it. Another time I did Sunday show was the first time Usain Bolt broke the record for 100 meters and the TV was still on.
I remember this.
And again, it's like, you know, I definitely think I'm a good comedian, but that is hard to compete with, like, world history of the fastest man in the world running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were so excited that the race was happening. There was nothing that was going to stop us from having it on in that moment.
And now, with the experience I have, it would have made more sense to do the narration for that. And I probably have enough wealth of material and enough experience in terms of riffing and performing off the cuff, then I could respond to that a lot better. Whereas then I was just like, okay, then can't tell everybody, hey, turn around, and because I'm also interested in this and invested in it. So there was that time. Another time was at Sound in Leicester Square, what used to be Sound Leicester Square, where Mo hosted. That he left before me, and I was closing the show.
Right.
And that was already worrying because him leaving, he's hosting, so how's he leaving before me? Jazzy had overseen the biscuit eating competition.
That just sounds insane. I don't. Even, by the way, I don't remember this.
No. I can't forget. These are character shaping experiences. So there's a biscuit eating competition, which, and again, I probably would make it a point of principle to not go on after a biscuit eating competition nowadays.
Sorry, every time you say it, I don't even know what we were doing.
Because the biscuits were super dry, so that was the difficulty. That they were so dry. It's like, do you need water to eat them as much as possible? What do you have to do? Just eat as many as you can without water? I guess so. Or have the water to eat as many as you could.
Okay, cool.
And I remember going on afterwards and getting quite late in the night. And the things that stood out were, I began the premise of a joke about being like, you know when you're on a bus, and the collective disgust at the idea of using public transport in the room was palpable. And I was like, I know I'm not the only person here that takes the bus. But
for sure.
Yeah, of course not. But it gave me a great insight into managing the collective consciousness in the culture then. Because then I understood, and obviously this is something that your work now that interrogates and, you know, dismantles and analyzes now, is that like, for a lot of young men, the admission that you take the bus
was too big.
It's too big. Yeah. It's seen as the opposite of an aphrodisiac. Like, you know, it's a passion killer. Yeah. Because I also noticed as well at shows, it would be like, who's in a relationship? Yeah. Silence. Who's single? That? Silence. Well, it's got to be one of the two. Because we hadn't arrived at a point where people are talking about like, you know, polyamory or situationships, but it's that nobody wants to appear, you know, and it speaks to how white paternalism affects a group of people, because that's kind of a very stiff upper lip, not wanting to seem to be too needy, but at the same time not being too available. So that's just the paradox that people have to balance, because everyone's airs and graces. And that's something I had to learn, that on that particular show, that helps me to understand, you know, if I'm going to broach certain conversations with the community, I've got to take the position of fool first. So if I talk about me being on a bus, it disarms everybody. Because then it's not, because I think within our community a lot of the time, and I've said this a lot of time as well, is that like, it's hard for people to laugh when ain't shit in life funny. Yeah. Hard to laugh.
Like right now.
Right now, ain't shit funny. It's very hard to find it. So, and unfortunately also in a post-capitalist community, which is also historically conservative, whether we want to accept it or not, but that's how we've been, you know, I suppose, conditioned. Unfortunately, a lot of the laughs that take place in our community have to be at the expense of others. And I guess that there is this internal inferiority complex that we are kind of being laughed at. And that makes it hard for people to laugh at certain things. So I had to learn how to preface jokes in order to deal with that. Yeah. And I think, Sunday show was really, I think Sunday show definitely has steeled my act in ways that I feel like I don't have a lot of equals. And what has, and the result of that for me has been that most people are like, you are unshakable on stage. Like it's even, you don't react, and most people are just kind of like, the way you're able to maintain composure in stage or whatever happens, amazing. And that comes from, you know, Sunday show. I think that as I was trying to find my voice, like there as well, it all clicked one day at a gig I did, which was in Farringdon, where I was just like, you know what? Why am I always smiling, man? And this might just go bad anyway. Still, I don't give a fuck, whatever. And then I mean, people was like, bro, do you understand what you're saying is funny? Like, your face don't even react, bro. And I guess, yeah, as I'm sure you're aware, a lot of comics at that time were not deadpan.
Yeah.
They were not static on stage.
Yeah.
And, you know,
very physical,
very animated, very physical. There was definitely just a real intersectionality between like your average like MC or master of ceremonies and your quintessential black comic in the UK, in that you had to be animated and almost have to have the same level of physicality as like a musical performer to engage the audience, because people, even our community, had a view of what they expected a black comic to be like.
Yeah. And
I definitely wanted to change that, where it was like, there is an inverse property to music whereby, is, you know, it's said as a cliche that white people listen to the words and not the beat.
Yes.
But that applies in comedy in the opposite way. And that for a long time, black people would listen to the beat rather than the words. So if you're animated enough, then, you know, that is seen as the comedy, as opposed to just the depth of what your premise and your thing is. So I had to kind of, I don't think I was the only one doing it, but I felt I was one of the people that had to persevere with that and prove that it worked. And I feel that today, I see a lot of comics nowadays who are static, and black British comics who are static, who are unapologetically intelligent, have a lot of depth, and have discussed a lot of taboos and unconventional issues.
Who impresses you now at the moment?
There's a number of comics now, to be fair.
Who would you put, and not say who are the biggest, but who are the ones that you look at and you feel like, oh, I want to go right, or like, oh, they said it in a way that I wouldn't have thought about?
I've worked with a lot of them recently. There's a kid called Emmanuel O from Bristol, but and he's lived in like France and Portugal, so he's like trilingual. He's really funny. Another comic called Wes Defoe, who recently did a sketch show which had Dave Benson Phillips in it on ITV during Black History Month last year. I think he's great as well. The ladies, lots of great young women coming through. Salam Amare is great. Nancy McDonald is amazing as well. Sharifa Butterfly is another comic. Honey Bee. So there's a whole like new generation who I'm definitely impressed with. But most recently seeing like Emmanuel, seeing Wes, another comic called Anoji, another great comic, and yeah, more and more meeting all the time. Another young guy called Sam Diplock as well. Zach Ranger is another new comic that I'm really impressed with. So yeah, I've been able to kind of have the opportunity to kind of work with these guys quite recently, and it's of course Andrew Mensah, be aware of as well, and Bemi Oladipo, who are comics who are not only approaching the art form in an outside of the conventional way, but they're also innovating in terms of finding spaces for themselves. So yeah, the kids are all right.
What do you remember about this? This is you, Junior Booker, White Yardie are the ones that I can identify. Who were the rest of the people? Where was this?
Right, so who else is there? There's Rem Conway and Smash, Ashley Beeson. So these two guys are based in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And then Michael Kennedy, who I don't think does comedy anymore, but he was, I think it's based in Milton Keynes. And also Josie De Cruz, who is also from West London, but again doesn't really do comedy that often, but I've seen him pop up in kind of sketches here and there and stuff.
What do you remember at this time? Because this is maybe after Sunday Show. I think it's like 2012, 13, 14 times. Do you remember much about this time?
2012, 14, I think as I remember it, that might have actually been in Birmingham. Was that the Drum maybe?
It looks like the Drum.
Yeah, so I think this is actually Yardie's show. So this is when he's beginning his ascension and booking comics on these shows. And again, the Drum is a place where sometimes I would have like a harder time with a lot more of a conservative, what we call like the rice and peas or Dutch pot crowd. And again, it was a learning curve for me because I think I was definitely unabashed in my approach to certain topics in comedy. And I've learned since that it's not necessarily what you're saying, but it's finding a way to say it. But also, as within our community, seeing someone that's 10, 15 or even 20 years your junior using certain words, that's going to make some Caribbean people switch off, or conservative like aunties and stuff, they're going to switch off or just be like, you know, my friend's mum said to me once, for a long time, she was kind of like, I'm not going to listen to you do material about sex because I know you since she was 12, like in the picture there. So yeah, that was kind of a learning curve there. But yeah, I just remember that a show where I probably was off the back of, or just finished doing Edinburgh for the first time, so was beginning to make some gains across both what is called the urban circuit as well as the mainstream. And I think obviously having that kind of validation as success had given me a lot more confidence and the resolve to continue, where a lot of my peers would be like, I don't do the black circuit because the black audiences are like this and you can't talk to them about certain things. But I don't know, and it might be a part of my personality. I just had something to prove, like, you know, I nurtured my comedy voice, or the early concepts of it, being amongst other black people in my community and being the funny one. So it's not that black people don't find I'm funny. I just have to find the way of how I communicate it best to my audience. And so I was at a point where my resolve had kind of been renewed, and I was ready to, and I was like, I'm not sure about cracking it, but you know, there's a way of doing this that I'm going to find. And I felt like it'd be much more of a shame for me to dumb myself down and to underestimate the intellect of my community, rather than try to appeal to a community who I'm quite aware don't have my best interests, if it doesn't mean you know, commercial opportunities for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Steph.
Yes.
What relation did you have with Steph McGovern?
I think I had a good relationship with her. I think that she's a consummate professional. I think that she is, I'm not going to try and reduce her intellect and her focus, but I say on the spectrum or anything like that. But yeah, I think a lot of parallels between myself and Steph in that a certain level of intellect and analytical power can sometimes mean you compromise aspects of your emotional intelligence. Yeah. Like, Steph is not a touchy-feely or tactile person. No. And that's fine.
But she was really great for me because I did an interview on her show and then she brought me back and was like, can you do a segment? And then she was like, look, I'm going to give you a segment. And for like every 2 weeks, she brought me up to Leeds. Something similar. Gave me a segment and just looked after me. No one in TV has done that.
I think so intentional. I think same experience with me as well. My first time being on Steph's Packed Lunch was doing the Black British Takeover, which was hosted by Mel B. And it was amazing. But I think Russell Kane had also referred me as well. So yeah, very grateful for that. But yeah, I had a very similar experience. I think that it's a shame that someone like Steph is not a commissioner, because I think that she has an amazing vision.
Yes.
So that's where I think
she feels part exec to me.
Yes.
That's something that I couldn't verbalize before. But as you said it, I feel like if she ran a channel, it would be a very successful
absolutely
platform.
And even if not a channel, a studio whereby she would have that same creative control over Steph's Packed Lunch as a format, as well as other similar formats. You know, Steph McGovern should be to the UK what Ellen DeGeneres was to the US.
Before the Don't argue with trolls.
Yeah.
Do you listen to that? Did you listen to it?
I've done my best to.
What happens when you're observing trolls? Because you said you do have the intellect, you know.
Yeah.
And then things are said, and then what happens?
I think it depends. I think that sometimes I have a level of awareness of what I consider to be the psychological profile of a lot of trolls. And I guess there's part of me that has experienced trolls in real life. And so in the same way they seek validation through triggering people or just aggressing them, I think I know some of the ways in kind of dealing with them. And I guess, again, in my with my own ideals where justice is concerned, sometimes I maybe consider it a part of a social duty to deal with them. But there's an extent to which you should do that, which I've also had to learn. I think for me, it took a while to understand that success and having a profile, one of the largest indicators of that are the fact that you have trolls.
Yeah.
And that took me a while to understand, because conversations about my profile is something that I didn't really have the privilege of having, whether it was through my management or, you know, people that were in my vicinity at the time. There are very few people who were, for a number of reasons, some of them more sinister than others. But the conversation of being like, you've got to a point now where people know who you are, and you need to be able to conduct yourself in that fashion accordingly.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's because some of the things that I still found myself doing were in contrast to what, like, I'm not like, well, I should have a limousine everywhere, and why should I be taking public transport? But it's more of a thing of, you know, there are some conversations which I need to have in industry, and that should be delegated to people that I employ for that.
Yeah.
And that wasn't always forthcoming.
Yeah.
I think part of that is due to, you know, just a lack of experience in dealing with black creatives. I think there's times, you know, where people are like, you know, Kanye is really difficult to work with and he talks to people. But having that experience within the entertainment space, I definitely understand why you sometimes have to be very vocal and proactively insist on your own creative control.
Yeah.
Because that can definitely run away with you from you. And as it stands, even now to this day, the entire perception of our community can depend on how we conduct ourselves.
Of course.
And there's a lot of pressure that comes with that.
But also how you conduct yourself. Because you create for everybody else. Mo created for, I don't know, Eddie and Babatunde in a way. Like, and I forgot that was your agent originally, right? So that company, or
the
that
whole
particular
company
department
started with me.
Was it a company or a department?
The whole company.
The company started with you.
Yeah. It was
And
my,
then
it was my
they
I literally
added
sat
Mo.
next to her. I literally sat to her and said, why don't you manage me? On an ad hoc basis, because I like I said, I was in a position whereby I'd done there's a few comedy competitions for newcomers, and I got to the final of those, but not really been able to win anything. Had begun to get a lot of work in the chain clubs in the UK, and the way that Up the Creek worked at the time was that they also had like a kind of gong or like competition, which again I'll get to the final of, but would never be able to win it. And the prize was having a professional or being able to do an open spot on like the professional nights.
Okay.
And because I did like 3 times, and they were like, you know what, we'll just give you a try on the professional night and see how you do. I did well enough that I would be doing it for like 18 straight months, and then sometimes end up doing the opening spot if someone was late or didn't turn up. And you know, again, the result of which I think I'd started getting like someone had referred me for like a voiceover for something. So I'd approached them and been like, I just want someone to look over the contract and negotiate this on my behalf, and I'll pay you a commission like in an ad hoc basis. And so I was like, you know, she was like, you know, I'm trying to shop you to places, and it's weird that no one's picked you up. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really care, because no one that they have picked up from my generation of comedy is doing anything I envy. So it didn't really bother me that people hadn't picked me up. And also because it wasn't like I was looking at there wasn't like a black actor I was looking at in the mainstream sense being like, I want to be able to do that, because there was nobody. There wasn't other black actors around.
So Richard is post Richard.
This is post Richard, yeah.
Kojo probably is in the US at the moment, but he's doing something different.
Yeah, I mean, would he have been doing like Mighty Trucker Fun and stuff with Reggie and stuff? But no, but Kojo's doing a few things. Kojo, like I remember he was doing like Ballers on like Channel U. A latter part that time. Obviously, he's running Funhouse as well. And yeah, he's trying to kind of crack America and do his thing.
So it's post Richard. Kojo's doing something different. He's still in flow.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else?
Eddie's probably just done like the O2.
Yeah.
But like so far as like mainstream, there were acts that would
Stephen K. Amos, like that kind of thing. Or
so good point. So Stephen K. Amos and Jason Lewis.
Yes, Jason Lewis.
So
of course.
Jason had the Jason Lewis Experience.
Yeah.
I remember that and seen the pilot for that.
Did Marlon Davis have something, or was that after?
Good point. So Marlon Davis, Nabil Abdul Rashid, and Ola Gambija Biamila, those guys had done, and Prince Abdi had done a show called Last Comedian Standing on ITV4.
Yes, and we had Toju who was on Channel 4 doing.
And Toju was doing Balls of Steel, yeah. So,
but how much of that was theirs? Were they leading, facing the face off?
Well, see, I think for the guys doing Last Comedian Standing, that was kind of like the closest. That was like the comedy equivalent of like X Factor at the time. So, I think in the end, who is it again? The finest. I think Tiffany Stevenson was like runner-up, and then Patrick Monahan won it.
Yes. Okay.
And I think Prince had a hard time. I think Jason Manford was one of the hosts. But off the back of that, there had been like a lot of interest to the other guys. But even they were talking about what they were experiencing. The biggest thing it seemed that then was having management. So even then, I remember like Lee Vassell, Little Man, had signed with G Star as well, and that was like a massive thing, that just having an agent.
Yeah. And G Star was Sarah,
Yes,
who had Cat.
Richard.
Did she do Richard as well?
Yes, and Slim.
Cat, Richard, Slim, and there was someone else, wasn't there? Or was it just no? Maybe that was it.
I want to say I think it might have been Lee. Yeah.
I remember having to deal with her and always being nervous. Because I was like, look, we need these guys in our rotation.
Yes.
But her numbers were always more than everybody else.
She definitely could secure a bag. That much I knew.
But once you agreed the number, it was the nicest and the warmest experience ever. She was so lovely.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's great. And been very supportive, to be fair. Because I guess she saw me doing... entering into spaces that historically a lot of black British comics went in, like doing Edinburgh and being on Edinburgh like showcases and stuff. And you know, it's a good point when you bring up like Stephen K. Amos, because there was this, I just observed like there seemed to be like a rift between black comics like Stephen K. Amos, or eventually even comics like Prince Abdi, who like Jason Patterson and Fagan and stuff, who would do mainstream rooms, but then felt like they struggled in black rooms because, like I said, topicality wasn't always as well received, and their approach to comedy. But then there was like, you know, this glut of comics, like as you mentioned, like Eddie and Baba and Mo, but then would struggle to kind of cross over as well, because
so I'll tell you how I saw it. And by the way, I wasn't in it. I had a show. I had a little corner stand in the middle of a thing, right? I felt like some of those guys didn't respect the audience. It was almost like they were talking down to them, like they felt like they were smarter than them and they didn't get it, so they were dumb. The energy they would walk with, right? And I think a couple of occasions the room can sense that.
Oh, definitely.
That you're not connecting to, you're not even trying to connect to.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think when we talk about some of the other legends who were crushing the Sunday show type rooms, they weren't able to, I want to say anglicize, but present a product that could be transferred to a mass audience.
Well, I would argue that it wasn't necessarily that they lacked the competence to do so. I think they just lacked access. I think social media has proven that. So
I would say I think there's a difference with Mo Gilligan to many others that came before him in terms of his accessibility.
Yeah.
I felt like Mo wrote jokes. I felt like he took the craft of writing jokes, but he also was of the culture of like Jordan's, Rick Ross, so he could do that.
Yeah,
but he would also develop
like, you know,
actual
funky,
materials.
like he was funky and on that cusp of where
it felt like the hybrid of all the things that had come before at the timing as also, because I think timing is also,
and also I think like
important.
You know, there's like a good maybe 5-7 years between myself and Mo age wise. And essentially had the finger of the pulse of 90s babies as they began to forge their own identity. And I think he was just definitely on the money with that as well. But like you said, I think that, Mo has like a theatrical and a creative background in terms of education. And that and that's definitely reflected in his work. And obviously we have a lot of mutual friends. So, you know, some of Mo's friends are like members of the RSC and literally Shakespearean trained actors and stuff as well. So there's a lot of cross, I think there's a lot of cross pollination. It's very different. That he wasn't trying to, and I think is a testament to his performative ability and intellect, is that doesn't look like he's trying, but it's a very measured approach to how he crafts his work. Yeah. So
who's this lady? Do you remember?
I do remember. Just trying to remember her. Cares, I think.
Did she pass away?
She did pass away of bowel cancer, and she played my aunt in Sunny D. And I know because she found me a place to cut my hair in Manchester when I needed to keep it down to do all the fibre thing and still feign having a hairline on Sunny D. It's going to kill me if I don't remember her name as well now. It'll come to me.
What was it like working with her?
Oh, amazing. I think that my experience working on my own sitcom has probably spoiled me and maybe distorted my perception of what it's like to work in this industry, because everybody on that set was open to ideas. Everybody was prepared to employ their own ingenuity to make the vision happen. I was surprised that so many of these well-trained and experienced actors were prepared to listen to my ideas. But then as a way to kind of reciprocate, I definitely made sure I gave everyone the breadth to innovate and improvise and to present their best selves. And Kay, that's her name.
Do you remember the last conversation you had with her?
Yeah, but I think it was just like, just me being very thankful. And I guess her just being, I think that she was always very nice, cordial and professional. And I think, as I said, I was just like, we're all family. So Kay Purcell. It's Kay Purcell. And rest in peace. But she was lovely.
Powerful.
Yeah.
You interviewed this guy.
I did.
How was that? Because I know how directional you are about anti-blackness, Jason Lee, the blackfacing, the pineapple on the head. Mm-hmm. You must have been very passionate going into that conversation. And did he know? Because I saw the post where you announced it and you were like, we're going to discuss all of these things.
Yes.
Did he know?
I'm not sure if he did know, to be honest. And I'm not even sure how aware I was at the time of the conversation about the extent of the whole Jason Lee thing and how it affected him and his family.
So you were coming genuinely, because by the way, I was raised on his comedy.
Okay, yeah.
I was raised on him on TV. Mm-hmm. Him and Frank Skinner were like one, and we used to love the football, the songs. They were icons.
Yeah,
I upon reflection,
icons. Yeah, I think a lot of people would have seen them as icons at the time, but I think that there's so many elements of the 90s and early noughties that were iconic that today I would say, if we're going to do critiques of something like the Manosphere, for example, we need to definitely look at its precursor, lad culture, because it definitely deserves a certain level of accountability as well. I think that this time, I think maybe, and it's probably been informed by my experience within comedy and within the entertainment industry, that's probably made me so much more more vociferous in my critique of it and my desire to like kind of maybe exist outside of it or to dismantle certain aspects of it. And so when you're like, definitely someone that's seen as iconic, I'm probably like, I could guess why, but I'm like, it's part of me is like, the old ways are dead. Let's bring the new school.
What do you remember of the conversation?
I think it's quite cordial, probably not as intense as the announcement suggested. I probably approached the conversation with a lot less hostility than I might do now, or a lot less bluntness than I would do now. But yeah, I think maybe there were probably elements of stakeholders being involved in that whole thing that I think maybe made me kind of temper my behavior in that respect.
It was being managed.
Yeah. And not so much managed in that, like, maybe lacking in solidarity for me to kind of do certain things. So probably it felt a bit more restricted and probably was more cognizant or fearful of what I may lose depending on my approach.
Yeah.
So
it's a genuine concern. Well, everyone's attempting to navigate a space with tight ropes. There are external interests that go way above your head. You have values. You're trying to hold your line of values. And we've been doing it with every intersection, wherever you go. Like I was just talking earlier, we're in East London right now. We're in Shoreditch. There's a certain way you move with the Muslim community because they're everywhere. Like, you wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of any conversation. In every space, there is a code. You have to navigate the code. It's part of your job.
There is a code. And I guess in this conversation with this person, with David, it's like I am trying to find a line whereby while you're not above reproach or critique, what I also don't want to do is give space for more nefariously motivated critique of David in the community to be enabled by myself. So I'm mindful of that. And I'm also mindful of how there are lots of elements of how people can misrepresent my narrative and that can lead to a lot more trouble.
And what did you learn from being misrepresented? I think that's... do I have a fear about it? I have an awareness of it.
Yes.
Of what it stops me from doing. Like, I don't think it's personal. Like, I would be upset that you misunderstood me and it created a pause or a limitation in my ability to do my work. I really like doing my work.
Yeah, me too.
My number one thing is, am I being effective?
Yes.
It's not about, am I right? Am I the smartest? Am I the best? It's, am I being effective? And do I go outside and people resonate with what I'm saying? What did you learn from that particular interaction where you felt like actually you was misunderstood? And what did that create for you?
I think that probably initially created a crisis of confidence, and I probably struggled with aspects of a lack of confidence. and some acute bouts of even depression, because I've experienced being misrepresented before. But yeah, I guess that it follows a number of stages in the same way we, cope with loss or grief, where there's been denial, anger, bargaining, acceptance. So gone through like various incarnations of those emotions or those stages. But I've also kind of learned, I've also embraced, because it's not that, like, I've not read experience before, but I think Chris Rock, where he had a scandal years ago, a false accusation of pretending stuff, where he was like, you have to accept within the industry that we're in, that fire can cook your food and keep you warm, but can also burn your house down. So it's learning to embrace that and seeing how I can move on from that, really.
And who are you now after that? Because I just think for me it changes. So there was a period of time where I had a very lofty idea about what I was even doing. Right? Even at Sunday show times, it was I thought I was making the purest, for lack of expression, cocaine. Right? And it's like, I've got the best product, I'm making it purer and purer and purer, and everyone's going to be really grateful that I'm making it pure. You go 10 years down the line and people are like, yeah, but you didn't put me on, and yeah, you didn't give me enough money, and like just the complaints will come. And
I was like, I don't think this guy likes me at all. Like, he just likes seeing me fail.
I was like,
do these guys hate me?
I saw you.
No, definitely.
But my mission was, if you find the right people and put them in the right place and create the room, the magic will happen, right?
Absolutely.
So in my head, you were an ingredient in the magic.
Oh, definitely.
And I just needed the room to land the way it needed to land.
Yeah. But and as I said, like, if I was to talk about my, USPs or my unique attributes, a large amount of that, and in terms of like composure and ability, and thinking on your feet and thinking off the cuff and improvising when a crowd is difficult, like, I definitely could say that's due to my Sunday show training. So
I hear you, man.
Very helpful.
I saw this and it says that you have Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yes.
Writing Sunny D. How and what on earth is that about?
So this was off the back of writing Sunny D, where I made the pilgrimage to LA, shopping a script for a remake of the sitcom. Lionsgate purchased the rights to pitch the sitcom, which was amazing. Although, not a lot of fanfare around it, weirdly. Then, and they began their series of pitches. So they went to Fox, which was the first studio they went to pitch it to, and they said yes. So it was the first place they went, which again, I was like, I remember I was on tour in Glasgow and got like a phone call at like 7 a.m. They're like, so Fox are interested and Apple are interested as well.
Wow.
And they're like, well, we'd probably go with Fox because they asked first, and obviously Fox has The Simpsons, and they got like Family Guy and all the rest of it. This is like just before Atlanta as well. So then Saladin Patterson is also on there as well. Was a writer on Blackish. And Keenan Ivory Wayans, who I definitely can say is one of the reasons why I'm a comedian. Definitely has that level of influence, and obviously some people are aware of Scary Movie and Don't Be a Menace, but I had been following his work since the early 90s within Living Colour. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, and just
So what happened after this particular point? That happens, and then what happened?
That script gets there, so the production of the script gets greenlit, and then Fox say that they are going with the focus on their streaming and some other projects, and so it just gets as far as that. And then I think the people, because it's like I have 50% ownership, and as does the BBC, there's an element of what I can do and pitch, but then a lot of people involved at the BBC, they move to other projects and other jobs. They go to Netflix. Because it was on BBC Three, there's a transitional period where BBC Three is initially exclusively digital, then moves back to being digital and streaming. And so, it was just like I found myself in the middle, whereby I could only do so much, and people that would normally be involved in that process of pitching a show just went around. And so kind of got left by the wayside for a while. Then the head at Lionsgate moves to AMC, which does like Breaking Bad and stuff. So then I'm back in the Charlotte Street Hotel, repitching the idea and then repackaging it as like a similar idea that involves like maybe a spin-off of me and my dad. Then another time where I'm during the pandemic, it's like almost 11 o'clock and I'm pitching again to like Heartbeat Productions. So I just find myself like, and I've gone from having no creative background to now writing a sitcom, and then pitching a sitcom. And I remember the first time I went to LA, my manager, or Mo's management now and stuff like that, for example, she's 7 months pregnant. So for the first day or so, she's happy to go with me to studios. But obviously she's 7 months pregnant, so walking is not the thing. And just getting about. So, you know, I find myself going to like, is it Blumhouse Studios who do like Paranormal Activity, having to pitch to them, Paramount Studios by myself, HBO, and just, lots of times just being thrust in these positions of having a large kind of executive or creative agency over my work, even though I don't have a lot of experience, and trying my best to pitch it. So got to the pilot stage, and I really feel like I got underpaid. I feel like you get a lot more. I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, like, I am rich. Well, I'm doing all right, but you know, not that much money. That being said, you know, student loan and stuff is paid off, but I reckon we should have got a lot more money for getting as far as a pilot of your remake of that show. And then, you know, so it's today when I see like there have been some British shows that have crossed over the Atlantic, and, you know, everyone does the obligatory, look, it's me in Times Square. I just think, could have been, yo. Could have been if somebody was behind it.
Do you remember this?
Yes, I do. That is 8 out of 10 cats. I was on a run at the time because I remember that was filmed. That's Robbie Williams' wife.
Yeah.
And I remember this was after I flew back from Amsterdam in the Heineken Music Hall. I just opened for Jim Jeffries. I think it was the first time. It was like 4,000 capacity. It was big at the time. Remember doing that. I'd never been backstage at a show where a comedian has a personal chef. Like how he had rooms dedicated to it, and like, oh, this could be the pinnacle. So, and there was almost like an element of survivor's guilt with that. So I didn't really stick around and bask in all of it, because basically I had to go back to the hotel because there's a prep sheet which is very thick that you have to do for 8 or 10 cats because it's so topical. And again, my unique experience in comedy is that for all of my TV appearances, no writers. So because I'm part of an agency that started with myself, and so having this access to resources, like having a regular writer, which they may have today, or someone that might collaborate with Mo if he's doing TV as well as doing live work, may have people that he can collaborate with there, whether it's producers, script editors, and like, didn't have that. So I remember having to read through that. Remember being in the lobby and meeting the RZA for the first time. Just randomly, the RZA was in the hotel lobby, so getting a picture with him. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is, and I remember that day because I'm like, wow, maybe I'm actually might be starting to be a celebrity. And then I get a phone call from my sister about my mom having Crohn's disease and MS, and so like, really no time to bask in your celebrity because you got a family to take care of. So
basically, when I remember seeing this from home, and it was the first time that I started to understand that, like, wow, Dane has elevated, like, because you can work, but there's spaces that you hold where you're like, no, this is. You're welcomed here. Because there's 100 comedians that could be here, but you're here.
Exactly,
and obviously, I want to vindicate my own decision-making in the beginning, which you don't even really understand what I had made in my head. Now I'm realizing how insular it was. In my head, I'm like, I saw it, I understood it, I recreated it, and then now it's here, and I feel really happy for him. It's a genuine...
And likewise, like, I was always grateful because I was never like, you see, Marvyn? You lot didn't think I'm going to be here. No one believed in me.
One of the few. I want to go to this picture. That's crazy.
I know,
Stan
right?
Lathan, Dave Chappelle, and David Haye.
Crazy.
Who's the strong...
Right, exactly.
What does it make you...
also, my best Valentine's Day ever.
Oh, this is Valentine's Day? How is this the best Valentine's Day ever? Because of this, or because something else happened?
All of it. But also, but mainly because of this. Because this is a celebration of another type of love. So yeah, that's why I say best Valentine's Day ever. Because this is an example whereby something I love is not necessarily dependent on other people, but something I love is being validated. In a way that, you know, it's not as dependent upon the actions of another person for me to realize that love. So yeah, that's why I say best Valentine's Day ever. So there is context to this as well. So this, I think, was probably around 20, maybe around 20, maybe 2019, just before the pandemic, I'd say, or maybe just in the early parts of it, because people were still out. So I maybe was on the cusp of leaving my old management, and this is kind of part of the straw, because Chappelle came to the Creek and performed the warm-up there, and he was there with like Skepta and Yassine Bey and Naomi Campbell and stuff like that, and then was upstairs, and they wouldn't let me meet him. And I was like, I just want to say hi. I'm not trying to like fanboy too much.
But just
it's kind of separation. But just, this is the GOAT. Like, this is the person who's one of the reasons I'm here. Like, same haircut. Like, obviously, in listening to interviews and the makings of his journey, I'm like, I can relate to that. I know what that feels like, And also for me, it was kind of like, when you look at some of the previous pictures, having that picture for posterior of saying, Chappelle was at the Creek and meeting Dane Baptiste. Because, like Babatunde, for example, used to call me Dane Chappelle, like as a nickname. Because he's like the way you talk about material and stuff, because we always do like Cottons in Farringdon. So, that's kind of how I got a stronger bond. And I think a lot of, in fact, the Cottons bit is very important, because I think a lot of the misgivings people may have had about me doing shows like the Sunday show, all those questions were answered when we used to do Cottons. And people were like, no, now we understand how Dane works and how his comedy works and how often he's able to produce output. And also because of Cotton's patronage, there's a Caribbean food place and the different audiences that I do have to entertain people, and we can also see like his versatility as well. Because I remember, who was it? Calvin Francis, the DJ? Yeah. He was there once randomly as well, and I could see him he was really cynical. And then some performers like, no, you're the kid's all right.
So is there anything, we have to wrap, but is there anything that we need to know about next? What's coming?
Yeah, I guess I am now independent, and I think I'm learning to enjoy that a lot more now, because I think that after doing so many things like this for so long, you start to think about being part of that machine, and then you think about commissions and perception and stuff as well. So I'm probably back in a space now where I'm writing and creating how I want to. I feel like I'm being able to work with younger talent, which is something I wanted to motivate me. And I think I'm still now in the stage whereby I think there's a lot of my USPs and competencies aren't in a space yet where I get to exploit all of them positively. And I'm still trying to find what my one of that is, in the same way that, like, where Mo found like virality and like showing his impressions and character comedy, and that's elevated him. I think, the interest that I have in my approach to comedy has worked for a very long time. I think that is probably waned as we've seen like this resurgence of like right-wing rhetoric. But I think as things are swinging the other way, I'm just going to try and find the best version of Dane now, because, comedy was like not a primary dream for me. So to become a professional comic in itself, that was achieved. To sell something to the States, to get to the point where, luminaries of the culture in the UK, like the GOATs there, to be in the picture with these guys, I've arrived at a point that I probably couldn't conceptualize at the start of my career. So now I'm there now. It means that the next stage means even transcending that. So I'm trying to find out what that's going to be, because obviously the magnitude of that now, takes me into a very different place. And there's still going to be people that stop that from happening, or think that's going to affect the status quo. And so, yeah, I'm enjoying that journey. But yeah, this was like a full circle moment whereby I was not able to meet him, and because of that, I had to part ways with my management, because I was like, well, if you don't understand why it's important for me to be meeting Chappelle at your club, then I guess we're not on the same page. And then literally on Valentine's Day, I'm on a date, and David Haye calls me and is like, are you busy? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. He's like, you want to come to Bush Theatre and meet Chappelle? I'm looking at her girlfriend. I'm like, oh, okay, can I get 2 tickets? He's like, yeah. So then was able to make a decision where I don't have to negate or neglect somebody who, does care about me, but also something else that, like I said, I love. All came together on one night. And, I think I remember leaving afterwards at a certain point, and then afterwards he was like, you should have stuck around, because then we went and hung out with like Will I Am and Anthony Joshua. So wow. Yeah, but I mean, that was more than enough. And not pictured here as well, Steve McQueen was also there.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so sick night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.
I appreciate it. It's been dope, man.